Welcome to Mennonite Heritage Village.
Zemlins were built in 1874 when the Mennonites first arrived here, and it was a way to keep them warm and cozy and safe for the winter. They came late in the summer, and so they had to basically dig themselves into the ground. Zemlin is about 3 feet underground with walls built of sod that they had cut from that virgin prairie, and then sod on the roof as well, so it keeps them well insulated. And it was from there that they could start to build bigger houses and start to farm. That was their little base of operation. And it wasn't just one out in the middle of the prairie. They would come as groups and then survey a street and then put their Zemlins in, and so they had family and friends nearby and they could help each other out. The house barn architecture originates in Northern Europe, in the lowlands, from Holland all the way to Prussia. And the Mennonites adopted that and then adapted it in their various environments, including in Ukraine, of course, where they lived for about 100 years before coming here. And then when they came to the Manitoban prairies, that style of architecture worked very well here too. It's basically a longhouse and a barn attached to each other, sharing a wall, which reduces that winter cold for the animals and the people. And it also keeps the animals and people close. This was important in Russia because of banditry, and it was important in Prussia because there they didn't have a lot of land to work with. They had to drain a lot of the land. So it works in many different situations. And they were built here well into the 1920s. We have a number of animals which represent the kinds of animals that Mennonites would have had on their mixed farms in this area after 1874. Including horses, donkeys, cows, chickens and ducks and geese, lambs, sheep, and goats, and of course oxen as well. Mennonites have a long history with windmills. From their very early days in Prussia, of course in Holland too, they were experts at draining land, and that's what windmills were used for in that area, or draining water from land. Because those were very low-lying areas, and to reclaim land for agriculture, they had to drain it because they were swampy areas, and there was always the encroachment of the sea, especially in Holland. And so the windmills were used actually as pumps. Now, of course, they were also used to grind grain and to grind other items, even mustard seed, rice, anything could be ground with a windmill. And they became experts in their use, but also in building them. And when they went to Ukraine or Russia, they continued to build them and use them there, and they became a feature of the landscape. When they arrived in Manitoba in 1874, they popped up again all over the place. And it's a weird thing to imagine a land in the 1870s without grain elevators. This is before the era of grain elevators. And your main architectural feature out there, miles away, would be a windmill. And they dotted the landscape. So it's a different way of thinking about Manitoba. But one was built directly on the corner of Friesen Avenue and Main Street here in Steinbach in 1877. And the windmill we have here at our museum is a replica of that. Blacksmith shop is representative really of the kinds of blacksmith shop you would have found all over North America. They could be in a little town or a village, or even in a farmer's workshop. On his site there. So it's not something that was very uncommon. In fact, it was incredibly common and useful, because if you had a piece of farm machinery that broke, it needed to be fixed. And the blacksmith was the guy to do it. He was right there. He could do it, and you would either trade or pay him. And it only was later when you had real mass manufacturing and North American population began to grow, and the railroads came in everywhere. It was only by the 1940s or 50s that became less important, because buying a replacement was cheaper than getting it fixed by a blacksmith. Now there are still blacksmiths around, of course, but there aren't that many. But at that time, it was something you couldn't do without. And he was involved in everything from repairing your farm machinery to repairing your transportation, your wagon, to sharpening plowshares, to shoeing the horses and oxen. He was involved in every aspect of life, really.
And we hope to see you here on Open Farm Day. We're giving a general 50% admission reduced rate. We are offering an upgrade to the supper ticket if you wish to learn how to make homemade biscuits, or schnetje as we prefer to call them. Our schnetje queen is coming to make biscuits with you, and you can take the biscuits home with you. Please come on and enjoy a horse-drawn wagon ride. We'll see you at MHV.